All right, guys, welcome to Amateur Radio Roundtable. This show is about ham radio. And if you've heard of ham radio, it's the same thing as amateur radio. People don't know it by both names, but it's all the same. We're glad you're with us tonight. And if you're listening out there on international shortwave on 7140 kilohertz, no, 7490 kilohertz, on WBCQ, we'd love to hear from you. Please send us an email and let us know where you are and if you're hearing the show tonight. We'd love to hear from you. Give us a signal report. Also, don't know if we have anyone new. Do we have any new first-time people in the chat room tonight? If you're here with us, let me know. I'd like to see who's in here. Let's see. I see my old friend Papa Doc. Doc just joined. WA4YYM. He just joined, and a few others. Send us an email. Let us know. Also, I'd like for you to do this for us. If you'll hit the subscribe button, we need everyone to hit the subscribe button. It will help us in our ratings within YouTube, and that will help bring more people in. So please hit that subscribe button. If you like the show tonight, please hit the like button. We'd really like you to do that. Katie sent me an email. I don't think Katie's going to be able to make it tonight. We're supposed to have Rich on from CQ, editor of CQ, but I don't know what happened with him. And let's see. I would imagine, I don't know if Bill Brown is going to be with us tonight or not. Sometimes he's in the chat room, sometimes he's on the video, but we'll see if Bill joins us. I've got one of Bill's trackers in today, and I'll show you guys what his new APRS tracker looks like. Got a lot of neat things tonight. I'm going to talk about some wire antennas, like end-fed wire antennas, and what will work and what won't work. Did you know there are certain lengths of wire that you should not use? And we have a calculator. We've got a calculator here that you can actually put the bands in you want to work, and it'll actually show you where not to use a length of wire. So it's going to be good. I want to talk to you a little about a new webcast system we're going to be trying to implement here over the next few days. I've been pulling my hair out. It's so simple, but I've been pulling my hair out the last 3 or 4 days, tearing this place apart. It is very, very simple, but in the background, I have to do some things to connect some audio from different programs into the webcast system. And it looks like I'm having to use virtual cable and make those connections. We'll talk more about that later. Talk to you again about something. Hey, once we go with this newer system, it's going to make it really, really easy to do a walk around anytime at any hamfest or any gathering or whatever, and to get real-time video from our video reporter that's walking around. We'll actually have two-way contact with him while he's walking around. So and that'll be really good. Let's jump over on our remotes here, and it looks like to me Glenn is the first one up. Glenn, how you doing, and what are you doing?
Oh, hanging in there. Like I was saying during the pre-show, I got that Simpson 260 meter at the Huntsville Hamfest for a whopping $5, and got it on the workbench this weekend. And it turned out it had 2 of the precision resistors inside had gone bad. And miraculously, I happened to have those exact 2 values that I needed sitting in the shelf, and they were wire-round resistors, so they pretty much matched what I had.
All right, so let me ask you a question. So the real cost of this was not $5. It cost you a little bit more to get the working meter, right? What's your total cost?
Well, the resistors I had, and they were given to me, so it's $5 plus the mileage to and from Huntsville.
$5
plus the hotel room.
And you don't charge anything for labor?
No.
Man, you work cheap. Okay.
I'm cheap.
Yeah, you work cheap. Bill just joined us, so I will say hello to Bill in just a moment there. Okay, well, great, man. I'm glad you got your Simpson going. Now you're in the Simpson 260 club with some of us. And, man, that's a great meter. I mean, I love that meter. I grew up with that meter with my uncle when he had a TV shop back in the early 60s. Oh, man, it just gives great meter. That's all I can say about it, man.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I love it.
Yeah, okay. Well, let's see, Alan. Come on in here, Alan, and tell us what you got going tonight. Hey, did the water go down, Alan?
Yeah, the water went down, but yeah, I was watching a couple of videos in addition to the one that I showed last week. But the Raritan River crested a little over 20 feet above its normal levels. That's kind of how bad things got here. But it's back down to normal now, and just a lot of people still cleaning up and cleaning out. And you drive through some of the flooded areas, and the curbs are just lined with everything that got ruined with the floodwaters. So it's going to be a long time before everything gets back to normal. But as I said, knock wood, we did okay here. Had another pretty nasty storm last night, another few inches of rain, but that wasn't anything near what Ida dumped here. So anyway, back to normal.
Yep.
Glenn, glad to hear you're a part of the 260 Simpson Club, and great on the repairs. It's a pretty simple meter. So as long as the meter movement itself isn't damaged, the rest of it can generally be fixed. As long as it's not damaged and you don't have any battery leakage problems that gets into the phenolic PCB, that is virtually impossible to clean. If you don't have those problems, then you're good to go. So, but very good. Yeah, I figured tonight maybe we'll have a discussion about station monitors, something that used to be a pretty popular accessory, probably not as much anymore, especially with the new rigs with the waterfall displays and everything on them. You got enough to look at, but I thought we'd talk about station monitors, and I'll show a little video on the Kenwood SM220, kind of one of the quintessential station monitors that you might find out there.
Cool monitor. Yeah, cool monitor. All right. Well, I see Bill joined us. Hey, Bill, how you doing? Are you there, Bill? Come on in here.
Yeah, do you hear my whisper in the background?
No, I don't. I don't hear it.
Oh, good. I'm copying a balloon that's over Hawaii, direct on whisper. It's right on top of the remote radio, and it's very strong, so I'm trying to decode it remotely at the moment. So it's N0 NPM-13. They've been flying for 6 weeks and on their second lap, and they're coming right across Hawaii right now. I guess it was flying beautifully in circles around the Pacific, and then it started heading back towards the West Coast, and then it decided that it was going to take a Hawaii vacation.
Well,
it's extremely strong into a remote radio, NH6XO, I think is the remote radio.
Yeah, I've had several balloons that also took a vacation around Hawaii. It seems like there's a magnet or something down there, and they like to stay in that area there. So that's cool. And Bill, I just look what I got in my hands right here, guys.
There you go.
I've got one of Bill's new Sky Trackers, and this is APRS only. This is not whisper like we normally would fly, but we're going to be launching this one. We're going to launch this tracker in about 2 weeks down at the East Tennessee Hamfest over in Sevierville, Tennessee, if the weather's good. And what this one is, basically, it's 2 meter. We got a quarter wave, a piece of, I guess that's guitar string that comes up for the antenna, and he's also got one.
That's Ernie Ball number 13 guitar string.
Yeah. So we're anxious about trying this, and hey, I was really surprised, Bill, when I opened the box. I mean, it's like I ordered this from the factory. I was surprised.
It's got one of those magic see-through circuit boards.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
I kept looking. I kept unpacking the box. And I kept finding more and more and more stuff. I didn't expect you to send me all that stuff. I thought you were just going to put together a board and send it to me. But man, you sent everything.
Got everything. It's all turnkey. Everything you need to launch it. Just all you need to add helium.
All right. I mean, even the balloon came with it, and that's the nice thing about it. And that's why I wanted to take this one down to Sevierville, and because if you are you're wanting to get into trying the Pico balloons, you can't go wrong with Bill's, because not only is it completely built and tested, but it's also already programmed for you. And you get a balloon, you get everything. You can get the hose to fill it up with. So the only thing I was missing, Bill, I was missing the tank of gas.
Oh yeah, I tried to put that in the little box and it just wouldn't fit.
I just wonder if you could put enough in a Ziploc bag that you could kind of, squeeze it out.
You know what I could do is put it into the balloon I sent you and just mail the package to you airmail.
Yeah, you could do that. Okay, we got a guest in the room here wanting a link for your tracker here. He's wanting to, I think he's wanting to order a couple dozen. So, Bill, you could put your information in the chat.
I have to start at the chat. So, hang on a minute.
Just go to Bill's your QRZ page, right? WB8ELK. Won't they connect?
Well, I don't have much on the QRZ. I need to do that.
Well, they can get your email address, right?
Yeah, I'll put that in the chat room here in a second.
Well, very good. Okay. Well, as I said, we hope to launch that, and we're going to be giving a talk about several things. We're going to be talking about ham radio, my 58 years in ham radio. We're going to talk a little about the show and how it has come along over the past 7 or 8 years, and we're also going to talk balloons. And Bill, I even updated the presentation to at the end to talk just a few minutes about the high altitude balloon that we did. And that seemed more exciting than the other one to me now. I mean, that's exciting, but
it went half the fun is the chase. On those.
But it was so perfect.
When is the Sevierville? It's Sevierville Hamfest?
Yeah, it's East Tennessee Hamfest. 3 clubs have come together, and this is a new Hamfest they're having. It's the 25th of September. It's in about 3 weeks, 2 weeks or something like that, 2 to 3 weeks.
And it's in Sevierville. Do you have a web link?
At the county fairgrounds in Sevierville.
Do you have a link you can post in the chat for the Hamfest?
I don't have it queued up, but I'll try to find it. Hey, great. if you want to go over there, you might even get to see Dolly Parton. You might get to see Dolly. So, okay, well, hey, I'm excited, man. I'm excited about it, and we got lots going on here. I'm excited about the next few weeks on all the things we're working on and what's happening here. Well, let's jump back up to, go back over to Alan, and let's talk about station monitors. And I think he's going to talk a little about that Heathkit monitor. I never had one of those, but I always looked at it. It was really nice. So, Alan, you want to talk about station monitors?
Sure. Well, yeah, so what are station monitors? So I've got a video. It's actually of the Kenwood SM220, but Heathkit had one. Yaesu had a couple. A couple of the other manufacturers had them. And the primary thing that they're used for is to monitor the RF output of your transmitter. And just kind of look at the modulated RF envelope. There's also some other functions. Sometimes they included a band scope, similar to the waterfall displays you've got on the modern rigs and things like that. But and most of them could also double as a low bandwidth oscilloscope for doing basic oscilloscope troubleshooting and things like that. So with that, let me see if you got to give me the ability to share there, Tom, and then what I'll do is I'll share the video, and then we'll talk about it more after that.
Okay. All right. You should have it.
Alrighty, so let's go here. I'll share sound, and let's go click on this guy.
Yeah, I really love those Heathkit station monitors.
Yeah, the Heathkit ones were nice. So here's a short little video on the Kenwood that I have here. And in fact, if you look at my picture, it's kind of right there. So there we go.
The SM220 is effectively just a very basic oscilloscope, but with added features that make it especially useful in the ham radio shack. One of the most common applications for the SM220 is for a transmit signal monitor. In this case, the transmit signal is routed through the back of the instrument, and the RF signal is capacitively coupled to the vertical deflection plates of the oscilloscope trace. And this allows you to look at the RF envelope of your transmitted signal, such as I'm doing here with a single sideband signal being transmitted into a dummy load. The RF power is represented vertically, and then the horizontal is just representing time, and we can see the RF envelope. This can be really useful to look for things like flat topping if you overdrive the signal and that type of thing. But it's a good way just to do a quick check to be sure that the transmitter is operating properly. Another common RF monitoring application is the trapezoid function to look at the linearity of a power amplifier. Now, I don't have a power amplifier here to demonstrate, but I'll put a link below to a video that I found on YouTube that shows how to use that function. But essentially the transmitter or exciter is fed through the back of the device as well as the output of the amplifier. And when the monitor is in the trapezoid function, you get waveforms that look like this. This is where the RF output power is represented vertically from the power amplifier, and then the exciter input power is represented horizontally. And ideally, you get this nice linear shape that would indicate a linear output power change versus a linear voltage change at the input. If you do not have things adjusted properly, you can get things like flat topping of the amplifier, or even show things like insufficient grid bias on the way the amplifier is adjusted. One other function that I use quite often is the band scope feature. This is an optional feature and actually requires a module to be installed in the instrument here, and it basically turns the scope into a dedicated spectrum analyzer to look at RF activity across a portion of the intermediate frequency stage of the transceiver. There were two band scope adapters available for the SM220. One that was designed for the TS500 series, like the 520 and 530, that is used to monitor the 3.395 megahertz IF from that transceiver line. And then the other one, called the BS8, is the 8.83 megahertz IF module. That can look at the 8.83 megahertz IF out of the TS800 series of Kenwood transceivers like the 820, the 830. I've got this hooked into my TS870 right now, looking at some band activity across the, in this case, the 40 meter band. Now, of course, more modern rigs and especially the software-defined radios have got really nice pan adapters with waterfall displays and things like this, but this functionality predated that by a good 20, 25 years or more. Now, if I simply tune across, we can see how I can move those signals across the screen by tuning through them. And as I get each one to the center of the screen, we can kind of hear it on the receiver. A couple of strong signals over here. That's actually a shortwave broadcast signal at 7.36 megahertz. We can work our way back. We can listen to potentially some single sideband signals and things like that across the band here. That guy right there is at 7.160. You can adjust the frequency span that the pan adapter is looking at in two steps. You can look at plus or minus 20 kilohertz around the center frequency, or plus or minus 100 kilohertz around the center frequency. Now, other functions include just your basic oscilloscope functionality. It's a single channel oscilloscope, and I would say it's limited in terms of what it can do because it's not calibrated. There's no calibrated vertical scale here. There's just a variable setting for the attenuator, either no attenuation or 1/10 or 1/100th, or to simply put it in the monitor mode. So you don't really have a voltage reference unless you apply something else yourself. Similarly, on the horizontal scale, you just have a sweep range. So in this position here, the horizontal sweep range will vary from 10 hertz to going very slowly to 100 hertz, and then you've got 100 to 1K, 1K to 10K, 10K to 100K, but no calibrated horizontal time scale. Similarly, there's no trigger input. It's kind of an injection lock type oscillator that takes a synchronization as a piece of the input signal. It's called a recurrent sweep scope. So limited functionality, but could be used as a basic oscilloscope. You'll notice that the oscillator function also shares a position with what's called RTTY. The scope could be used back in the day for helping to tune in RTTY signals, which were some of the earlier digital modes that were popular and still somewhat popular today. The RTTY mode would also be entered by switching to RTTY over here. And what this does, it puts the scope into XY mode. And again, I don't have an RTTY demodulator here, so I can't demonstrate this feature. But what that would do is the mark and space signals would be applied to the essentially the X and Y inputs, and you'd get essentially kind of crossed bananas type of a display when you properly tune an RTTY signal. And finally, the scope also includes a two-tone signal generator that whose output is on this 1/8 phono jack here, and it could output a low-level 1 kilohertz tone as well as a low-level 1.575 kilohertz tone, or to put them out simultaneously. They're pretty low level. They're designed to be like microphone level, about 5 millivolts or so. And they could be used as test audio sources when you're working on a transmitter, just to kind of to get things adjusted right, maybe in an audio preamp or something like that. And then the two-tone test can be useful to look at things like linearity of not only the audio chain, but in a power amplifier chain. And I've done a video on basic two-tone testing in the past, so we could I'll put a link for that one down below as well. Yeah, so there you have a basic overview of what the Kenwood SM220 station monitor is all about. Kenwood did make a later version of this called the SM230. It's a little bit larger, had a larger rectangular CRT, and also had the pan adapter function built in as opposed to being an optional module that you'd add to the unit. Other radio manufacturers such as Yaesu and even Heathkit made their own versions of station monitors that had similar functionality. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed the video, learned a little something about what the station monitor is all about. If you liked it,
All right, that was cool. And you know, I didn't like the band scope. It looked pretty pretty.
It's a pretty early spectrum analyzer. Yeah. You can't. There's no adjustments on it in terms of resolution, bandwidth, and things like that. And it sweeps. You know, you got to adjust the sweep, otherwise you get a little bit of tearing. You get kind of like the sawtooth shape to the peaks. But it certainly doesn't compare to the band scopes we have on today's SDR rigs. But
oh yeah,
when you didn't have anything, it was a decent fish finder.
All right. Thank you so much for showing that. And good old Kenwood. I had a complete Kenwood set I got rid of here this past year. Hated to get rid of it, but I didn't have any place for it. You know, the speaker and the power supply and the radio, the speaker, the external VFO, and the tuner. When you lay those things out, it's about 5 feet across, you know.
Hey, I have a question for you, Alan. Will that work with the TS120 or the 130? Will there be the connections that could hook up to?
Well, the station monitor portion of it, just to look at the RF output, well, you can use with any rig. It could be anything, because you're just looking at the coax going to the antenna, just one's routed through the back. The pan adapter piece of it, there's two things you got to concern yourself with. One is what IF frequency is the radio that you have, and like I said, the 220 only could accommodate the 3.5 megahertz IF that was in some of those Kenwoods, and the 8.83 that's actually very popular in a lot of different rigs. I don't know what the IF configuration was in the 120, or if it actually had a broadband IF output. If it had an appropriate IF frequency but didn't have the output, you certainly could add an output, just hack one into it and use it. But if it had a different IF frequency, then you'd either have to modify, the components in the pan adapter module to tune it to that new frequency, or use something else like an SDR radio or something.
All right, cool. I like it. I just don't have room for it. There was a question. What was the roughly the price on the 220? I guess you can still find them, right? eBay and places.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what the MSRP was. It was probably several $100s, I would imagine. Yeah. I know now if you find an SM220 in decent condition with the pan adapter, it's not uncommon to see them sell for between $200 and $300.
Yeah.
So I've seen even without the pan adapter in good condition sell well over $100. So it's what's funny is that if you're just going to use it without the pan adapter primarily as a station monitor, just about any old analog scope would work. Before I had the SM220, I had a little B&K Precision. I forget the model number. It was a tiny little scope. It was only about that big and about the size of a shoebox, and had a small CRT. But one of the nice things about it is on the back panel, it actually had direct access to the vertical deflection plates, and they were coupled with a link to the vertical amplifier. So you're able to actually disconnect those links. And I mounted a box on the back of mine, and I capacitively coupled the RF signal right to those deflection plates, which is exactly what happens inside the SM220. And it worked out to be a pretty decent, RF output station monitor that I got for a couple of bucks at a Hamfest.
All
right.
The big thing for me was the RTTY display with that, like you said, the cross bananas. That was vital to be able to tune a RTTY signal back then.
Okay, yeah. I've never RTTY'd, so.
Yeah, that was the good old days of RTTY, and back then I actually built a homemade RTTY terminal unit, with the toroids in it, and actually built a scope in it. I got a scope tube and actually built a scope in it, and it's kind of neat seeing that 850 cycle shift. It looks like a plus, and the 170 shift, it kind of it's like that, but that's how you tune it in, man. That was kind of cool. Well, hey, thanks so much for showing us
I had a
that.
blast on RTTY. Besides CW, RTTY was my first digital mode.
Yeah. Well,
Then
that
you had
digital
to
mode's
wind
been
those
around a long
88
time.
millihenry toroids.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
All right, let's jump over to Rich. Are you here, Rich? Where's Rich?
Yes, I am.
I hear him.
Good evening, everybody.
I don't see him. Why do I
I
not
think
see
I'm
him?
here.
There he is. Now
I
there
see
he
him.
is.
Hi.
There he
There he
is.
is.
Hey,
Okay.
Rich. Oh man, how you doing up here?
Pretty good. We managed to survive Ida.
Yeah.
A lot of our neighbors had a lot of bad flooding. Our house is up on a little rise from the street, but we had a 4-foot lake at the bottom of our street. 10 inches of rain in 5 hours does not do a lot for drainage systems. And we had lots and lots of people abandoning their cars, a lot of cars that were parked and are
Yep.
no longer functional as cars. Contents of people's basements out at the curb. It was really very sad to see.
Yeah.
But such is the nature of nature these days.
Well, we had rain come through here again today. I think there was another hurricane that hit the Gulf Coast down here, last day or two. I think it was a Cat 1 or something, very small. So hopefully it won't bring a lot of rain up to you guys up here. I know you're saturated right now with water up here.
Most definitely.
Yeah.
We normally have somewhere around 2 inches of rain in the entire month of September, and we had 10 inches in 5 hours. So
Yeah.
bit overwhelming.
Well, hey, you're here to tell us about CQ. Tell us what we have to look forward to coming up here.
Well, first of all, since everybody was talking about RTTY a minute ago, I want to start out with our CQ Worldwide RTTY DX contest, which is coming up later this month. It starts off the CQ Worldwide season. The RTTY contest is this month, the voice contest is October, and the CW contest is November. So if you're into RTTY, this is the time to work the world with it. In the September issue, we've got a wide variety of things. This is a very important article, but we start out with a very interesting piece about the possibility of Cuba jamming radio amateurs. Part of some of the political stuff that's going on down there. We normally try to stay away from politics, but when it intrudes on the ham bands, we report on it, and that's what we've got in this lead article, is Cuba jamming radio amateurs. The big article is on understanding and complying with the FCC's new rules on analyzing RF exposure. We've got a whole bunch of communication attorneys who are also hams, who analyze the whole thing and discuss what the changes are from the old rules to the new rules. There are no changes in the maximum permissible exposure rate levels. What has changed is the determination of whether we have to make an analysis of our stations. There's no longer the blanket exemption that used to exist if you ran under a certain amount of power.
And hey,
now-
Rich, let me just jump in here a second. Probably a lot of people that have not been following this don't know what this is, but now if you're a ham, there are new requirements coming out by the FCC that everybody is going to have to file this study, I guess, that you do, this evaluation, right?
Well, you don't have to file it. You just have to
Have to
keep
have
in
it.
your station records that you have made the assessment, either that based on the formulas that are out there, that you're exempt from doing a, quote, routine station analysis, or make the analysis. There are several websites, including ARRLs, that have online calculators where you can plug in the parameters of your station and see if you're exempt from conducting a routine evaluation. We're following up in October with a computer program that was written like 30 years ago by N6NB, where he basically says, now it's easier to just do the evaluation than to figure out whether you're exempt.
Yeah.
But this article really goes into detail on what the new requirements are. And the bottom line is now that every time you make a change in your station, whether it's power output or antenna location, design, etc., you have to do another analysis of whether you need to do the full evaluation or do an evaluation. But basically, every time you change your station, and it includes mobile and portable operations, you have to assess it to see that you are within compliance with the RF exposure regulations. Again, the exposure limits themselves have not changed. It's just the way that we need to approach them. So it's a very important topic because it affects every one of us. And we're covering it both in September in great detail, and then again in October with information on actually making an assessment, or evaluation. So those are very important articles in the next two issues, September and October. We have, as always in September, the results of the WPX single sideband contest, which is held in the spring. And we continue to have record participation. Thanks in large part, unfortunately, to the pandemic. People are stuck at home in March, which is when the contest was, and spent a lot more time on the radio than they might otherwise. We've also got the rules for this coming CQ Worldwide DX contest. Again, the single sideband weekend is in October. CW is in November. We've got a couple of new categories. Actually, they're overlays. One is a youth overlay, and the other is called Explorer, which gives you a wide latitude in doing different innovative things with your station. So you'd have to take a look at the announcement or the rules on our website or on cqww.com for the specifics of it. But if you're into trying all sorts of new and different technology, then the Explorer category is something you might want to look at. And the youth category, obviously, is just a separate category for young contesters, and we know there are a growing number of them out there to compete in against each other, as opposed to just the whole group. We've also got a great look back at his own career in DXing by Marty Lane, OH2BH, who is an icon of DXing and DXpeditioning. He has opened up a dozen countries to amateur radio, having the first operations from those countries, and he's been all over the place. And he's been doing it for 50 years now, and I'm sorry, 60 years, and takes writes a retrospective for us in this issue. So if you enjoy DXing and DXpeditioning, and you've ever worked, Marty, as OH2BH, or if Miss Canary Islands station as EA8BH, you'll be very interested in reading his story. We've got a review and a builded article on building your own solid-state linear amplifier. It's a look at the KM3 KM Electronics Mercury 3S amplifier kit. This is an amp kit. But to me, what's more interesting than the radio and the review is the author, who was first licensed 50 years ago, got out of ham radio for a long time because of other things going on in his life, recently came back, hasn't picked up a soldering iron in 50 years, and what's the first thing he decides to build? An amplifier kit. That's really jumping into the deep end. Mm-hmm. And he, fortunately for himself, for the amplifier, and now for us, was successful at building this, and is enjoying telling us about it. So that's a really cool story. Among our columns, Joe Eisenberg in Kit Building has a key project for us, which you might have an inkling has to do with CW and a key. In our learning curve column, which is our basics column, we go really basic with a look at resistors. You know, a lot of people don't really have experience with putting things together when they first start out in the hobby, with building things maybe a little less complicated than an amplifier kit, and understanding the color codes on resistors, or nowadays with the smaller surface mount resistors and chip resistors, they don't even have color codes anymore. They have little numerical codes like 104. So understanding what those mean and which ones go where is important, and it's part of our ongoing commitment since 1945 to helping the newcomer as well as the old timer have fun in ham radio and succeed. Our VHF Plus column is maybe not for the brand new ham, unless they're experienced in microwaves. But Trent N4DTF takes a look this month at 1.2 gigahertz band, which he calls the gateway drug to the world of microwave action. You really can get hooked, and it gets you involved in all sorts of other microwave stuff. I know I've had limited experience on 1296, which is the band there, but I found it fascinating when I was operating D-Star when it first came out, and I had the ID1 radio from ICOM, which is a 1296 rig, and I was speaking to someone through the repeater on the Empire State Building in New York City as I was heading into the city in the car, and I was coming in through the Lincoln Tunnel. And for those of you who are not familiar with that approach to New York City, there's a helix as you approach the tunnel, as you come down off the highway. And there's a huge rock wall on the back end of the helix. The front end is the Hudson River looking across New York City. And as soon as I got past the buildings and into that open area where with New York City on one side and the rock wall on the other, signal just went, just disappeared, because I suddenly realized I was getting multipath from the rock wall, a little bit out of phase with the signal coming right across the river. And it just broke up completely, even though I could see the antenna. And then when I got into the tunnel is just the right size to be waveguide at 1296.
Oh, wow.
And I was able to carry on the QSO inside the Lincoln Tunnel for quite a ways, I guess about a quarter mile in, and then the last quarter mile coming out, I was able to pick it up again because the tube was the perfect size for radio waves at that frequency. So it was very, very cool. I had a lot of fun on that band. I got to get that radio back up and running.
Yeah.
Going back to the magazine, our awards column, speaking of VHF and UHF, they take a look this month at the Fred Fish Memorial Award. This is got to be one of the most challenging awards that there is, even maybe more challenging than our Workdale Zones or USACA awards. You have to work every grid square in the continental United States on 6 meters to get this award. And how many of them are there here? Let's see. 488. So you have to work all 488 grid squares in the continental U.S. to qualify for this award. So far, as an indication of how difficult it is, only 12 people have earned it. So if you're looking for a challenge, that's a challenge for you. Our DX column takes a look at remote DX and DXing, and in propagation, NW7 US takes a look at autumn propagation, time of change, equinoctial propagation. Conditions are pretty much equal on both sides of the equator, and leads to some very interesting propagation conditions. Those are some of the highlights of the September issue. Our October issue, which we're just wrapping up now, is our emergency communication special, so we'll be back in a few weeks to tell you about that. And I believe that our Summer Madness subscription special is still going on, where you get an extra copy for each year. So if you sign up for 1 year, you get 13 copies. For 2 years, you get 26 copies. And 3 years, you get 39 copies. You can access that by just going to our website at www.cq-amateur-radio.com. You can find out all about it.
All right. Well, I'll tell you, I've got a friend here in town that has worked all grids on satellite. I think there's only you can count them on one hand how many people have done that. So 6 meters, that would be a challenge. And if you're looking for something in ham radio to do, there's always something new like that. Man, there's so many things out here to do now.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I periodically hear from someone who says, "Oh, I'm getting bored with ham radio," and I tell them, "Then you're not looking hard enough, because there are just so many different things that you can do in this hobby, and so many different exits and off ramps you can take and get into all sorts of new and different activities, and be a newcomer at something, and learn it all from scratch all over again. There's always a lot of people out there willing to help."
Yeah. Well, Rich, thank you so much for taking your time to be with us tonight and share with us what's coming up in CQ. Looking forward to it.
My pleasure. Sorry to be a little late.
That's all right. That's all right. We will not fine you at this. That was your first time, so not a problem. All right. Well, hey, thanks so much, man. Thank you.
All right. Good night, everybody.
All right. All right, guys. We got a lot more to talk about. We're going to have some fun here in a little while. We're going to talk about some really interesting things. Stand by. We'll be back in just a moment. Contests remotely or from the comfort of your home. ICOM has the perfect base station ready for action. The IC9700, the IC7610, and the IC7300 transceivers are top of the line and are the first choice for contesters across the globe. Robust base stations like these cut through pileups, letting you work the bands and record those contacts. Stay connected. Keep your competitive contesting edge with ICOM. Heard it, worked it, logged it. Create your own band openings with the 9700. This transceiver brings direct sampling to the UHF-VHF weak signal world. It's loaded with innovative features that are sure to keep you busy. It has faster processors, higher input gain, higher display resolution, and a cleaner signal. Check out the large touchscreen, the Spectrum Scope waterfall, smooth satellite operation with 99 channels, and it has full duplex operation in satellite mode. The IC7610 is the SDR that every ham wants. This is a high-performance SDR. and it can pick out the faintest signals even in the presence of stronger adjacent signals. The 7610 is a direct sampling software-defined radio that will change the world's definition of an SDR transceiver. It has RF direct sampling and independent dual receivers. The IC7300 changed the way entry-level HF is designed. Top-performance innovative HF transceiver with a compact design will far exceed your expectations. It has RF direct sampling, 15 discrete bandpass filters, a large touchscreen, and real-time spectrum scope. Visit www.icomamerica.com/amateur for more information on ICOM radios.
LDG Electronics provides state-of-the-art antenna tuners for every amateur need. From QRP to QRO, fixed stations, portable and remote, an LDG tuner will match your radio to your antenna using our lightning-fast, proprietary tuning algorithms. LDG is a family-owned and operated company dedicated to bringing innovative, quality products to the amateur market. All LDG products carry a full 2-year warranty that is fully transferable. Support is only a phone call or email away. We're always here to help you. Visit us on the web at ldgelectronics.com.
All right, guys, we are back, and we're going to talk about some interesting things here in just a minute. I did pull up the web page for the East Tennessee Hamfest. Let me get it on here and let everybody see it. You can go to easttennesseehamfest.com, and I think that's their website. And you can see it's September 25th. Now, I see here gates open at 8 o'clock a.m., no exceptions. I'm not sure what that means. I guess that means nobody's going to get in until 8 o'clock. I think that's what that means. No exceptions to the public. Okay. I guess if you have a flea market space, you can get in earlier. Okay, I think I've got it figured out there.
Yeah.
All right, but it's
in before 8.
Yeah, it's going to be there at the fairgrounds, the Sevier County Fairgrounds at 754 Old Knoxville Highway out of Sevierville. They're going to have 17 acres of ham radio out there, so check it out if you can get there. Again, that would be also 14. That's 11 days from now, isn't it? That's not much.
Not
So
long.
got a lot of forums. I'll be doing a talk there again on ham radio, and we'll get a little bit into our balloons that we've done in the past. We'll launch the balloon that I just received from Bill. If the weather's good, it's going to be an APRS only, and we'll put the web page up if you guys want to track it. So we'll be launching it on Saturday the 25th. It's going to be one of those small 36-inch silver balloons. I don't expect it to go around the world many times. It might not even make it around once, but it can. That was the very first balloon that Bill launched for us, was the 36-inch Mylar silver balloon. It made it all the way to Japan, and it went down in a storm in Japan. So it can make it. Now, right now is the wintertime. It's good flying months for people to fly, because in the wintertime you don't have the storms that we typically have during the summertime. There's some balloons now that have been up. I think I saw a report today, one that's been up, I don't know, Bill, maybe you can correct me here, 132 days, has been around 6 times or something like that. So, that's going to be, it's going to be interesting.
That balloon was launched on May 5th from Cleveland, Ohio, and it just went right back across Cleveland this morning on its 6th lap, and it's been up for 123 days. That's
pretty good. And again, I think a lot has to happen here. You have to have luck, and you have to have good weather, and all that kind of stuff goes together. So
that was a pre-stretched SBS 13. They actually pressure tested it at the company, so they were able to get they don't make very many of those. It's an SBS 13X, and they pressure test each lot they do as a quality control, and they sell that balloon.
So what kind of altitude were they getting with it?
They're at 43,000 feet or so, and it's really helping with their longevity. And it's a 20-meter Whisper sky tracker.
Yep.
So it's been up there for a long time, almost a third of a year.
Yeah. I thought we did good at staying up 72 days, but they're beating us. So this winter, we're gonna get back on it. Bill, I would say after this one goes down, after our launch here in 2 weeks, after it goes down, we're going to be gearing up for a long duration, higher altitude balloon. I still got the itch to try to get a bigger envelope.
My rule of thumb for the best time to go around the world with the highest winds is to launch in any month that ends in an R.
Yep.
So September really is the beginning of the quick path around the world. You'll still get caught up in, there's still hurricanes out there, but as long as you avoid those, it works pretty well.
One of our balloons, I think, at one flight, it almost broke a record, or it came close to a record of going around. It seemed like 11 days. I don't remember, Bill. Do you remember?
11 days is about the record, and you were right on. You were right on that.
Yeah. So I don't know, man. Well, we're gonna see. We're gonna see what we can do here. Okay.
I've seen them go over 200 miles an hour ground speed.
Yeah.
So during January and February. So.
All right. So there you go. Come see us at the
Hamfest looks pretty neat. I'll be up in Ohio, unfortunately, during that.
You need to drop by and see us. So. It's a new Hamfest, 3 clubs. I think even Nashville has jumped in with them, and they're trying to put on a new Hamfest out there. So we don't know a whole lot about it, but it might turn out to be grow into a very big one. All right. Okay. One of the things I've been working on the last few days, I'm looking at coming up with a simplified webcast that looks beautiful and works great. And we found a system that will do that. Right now, people have to understand that right now this webcast is happening because I have 1, 2, 3, 4 computers networked with Zoom on one, with Wirecast running on this one, with a minimum with a chat room here, and over here a lot of other things, 4 or 5 things going on with this one. Plus we got mixers, we got audio lines in and out of all these PCs, and it's mixed, multi-channels. It's difficult to take this when you go somewhere. You can't just tear the studio down. And when we do go to places like Huntsville Hamfest, we have our mobile cart, and we basically try to emulate this as much as we can. But we don't bring in remote guests. We don't need to at Hamfest. And we don't bring in Skype, so that makes it easier. But you guys have probably noticed that cart is about 80 pounds, and that cart is big. And as we're trying to roll through these crowds, it doesn't want to steer very well. And we have some difficulties with it, various things going wrong. We have found a web-based webcasting application here where I can take a single PC, and with a browser, I can bring in guests, and it switches beautifully. I mean, it looks like a TV station is playing around and bringing all the different shots and pictures in. It's really nice and really smooth. I really, really like it. Now, I can share videos, I can put overlays, I can run things like that. But here's what I'm working on for that. I've got to get our phone system working on the same PC, say the same laptop. And if you guys know about Windows, there's only one audio system basically in Windows. And when you run multiple different applications, they each have to take that that audio driver that audio driver is kind of captured one, and it kind of keeps you from using the other one, and so forth. So I've got to tie our phone system application running in the background to the webcast browser with two-way two-way audio back in and out. Now, I'm having to do this with virtual cable. If anybody has any experience with virtual cables, I'd like to hear from you. I'm running. I ordered its software. The virtual cable is called AB Audio. It's a more simple one than the original virtual cable. But you have a cable, and it actually has the cable has an in and an out on it. And you just you go over to your computer, and you pick you bring up the mic configuration, and you change it from mic to cable A output, and then you go over to the other program and you define the output of it, and you do cable A input. So output goes into input, input goes to the output, and it does that. So I've got it working. Both channels working for the phone system now. The only problem is I haven't been able to work in my local microphone. Once I do that, I lose my local microphone. So we're working those issues out. I think I'll be able to do the same thing with Zoom, where I can run Zoom in the background on the same laptop. And by using virtual cable, I can bring the audio in and out of Zoom into the show, and be able to share screen. So the Zoom screen would come up just like a camera shot, basically. So this has some exciting possibilities. I'm hoping to maybe by next week, next Tuesday, to do a little testing with it. I surely will take it to North Carolina with us. We're going in 2 weeks. We're going to the Hamfest. From there, we're going to our home over in North Carolina. We'll be over there about a week. So I will do a show from North Carolina in 2 weeks. And I hope to be able to use the new platform because it's simple, but it looks really, really good. I think you're going to really like it. The platform works today by bringing in guests, but I just can't bring the phone lines in on it. And I can bring up to 6 co-hosts in, but I can't open it up to a bunch of people like I could with Zoom. So I'm hoping to use that in a couple weeks over in North Carolina. So that's going to be real exciting to have that. And just think of the possibilities there. Now, if I go someplace like Huntsville or somewhere, we don't have to roll the cart around. The webcast remains right there in our booth. And we're running, and I have someone take a camera, just a smart camera, like this, and from my booth, I just send them a link through email or whatever. You click on that link, and that makes this a remote camera on your network. So we could actually be walking around in a flea market with this. And I could be back at the booth bringing you into the show where it was something like this. I could Glenn could have a camera out in a flea market, and there I am here, and I could say, Glenn, back up and show me that again. Two-way voice communications with my camera person, and it should be really good. And I've ordered some little wireless mics to go on the camera. There's a receiver on top there, you might see it, and these little wireless transmitters here are kind of neat. The fact that there's 2 of them here. You can run a lapel mic. You can plug a lapel mic into it and clip it on you, or it works just as well. It has a built-in mic, so if your external mic is off of here, this still has a mic. And you just take this and you just flip it on you. That's your microphone. And we can have 2, one for the person carrying the camera, and 1 or 2 for the people doing the interviewing. So I think this is going to work out really well. Looking forward to doing it. but I want to get the virtual cables and stuff working in it there. So that's kind of what we're looking at. Be kind of easy just to carry this around and just kind of aim it, you know. So
That would be cool.
yeah, that's all it takes to get out there, and it brings you into our booth just like you're a separate camera shot, just like you're cabled in. I can select you or I can deselect you, you know, and I can see you and I can talk to you as you're
That's
walking
the cool
around.
part.
I can say, Glenn, back up and show me that Collins equipment again, and you just back up and you show, you know. Or if there are questions in the
cool.
chat room, we just relay it right directly across the camera there. So I think that's going to be really, really good for us right there. Hey, the next thing I want to talk about tonight was wire antennas, particularly long wire, random length antennas coming in, maybe hooked right to your tuner. And you know, we've all put antennas up out there. I try mainly to use resonant antennas. I like resonant antennas, but I do like to have an antenna that I can use on multiple bands, just as a backup or just to have an extra antenna, you know. So I've tried a lot of random linked wires in my past, and I always thought the more wire you get out, the better, you know. But I've been looking into lately some things here about random wire antennas, and there's a lot of really good websites. And I'll post these links in our chat room. But there's been a lot of study that has been done on random linked wires, and there's some links that you really, really need to stay away from. You wonder why you put up a random antenna and it works on 3 bands, but 2 other bands that just will not tune. Well, that's because the length falls into a range where you shouldn't be using it. So here's a website here talking about the best random wire antenna links. And the thing is, you want to stay away from a half wavelength or multiples of a half wavelength. And you just got to do that. So this person has put together a list here of links. Now you got to pick the band, the lowest frequency band you want to work. So let's say if we want to work 80 meters and up, we'd choose the 3.8 meg frequency here. So here are the links you need to stay away from. You need to stay away from the 123 feet, 246 feet. These are all multiples of half wave. 369, 492. Again, on all these bands, these multiples are these links here are actually half waves for those bands, or multiples of half waves of those bands. And look, there's a list right there of the feet that you want to stay away from. So there are certain links that work better that different manufacturers are telling you to try to stick with. Let me look at another link here. Let's see what this is.
Something to think about too.
Yeah, go ahead.
That these are the lengths that you probably want to stay away from if you're doing kind of, like I said, a random length and using a tuner to tune it.
Right.
If you're specifically designing a end-fed half wave with a proper end-fed half wave matching unit, then those links that you want to stay away from are exactly the links you want to use on those bands.
Yeah. So again, here's another site that shows again the red are links you would not want to use. You might want to read this. For instance, if you wanted to work 40, 30, 20, and 17, that's the green here. Let's look at the chart down here. So you can see In the white, that's the area is okay to work in. But look, there's a green there that you might hit. There's a green there. There's more green down here. So this is some interesting things. You ought to read this and understand it a little bit more. Let me pull up another one here. Ballon Designs has, he makes a lot of great ballons out there, and these are links again that in SWR that he has actually put in a chart for you. Now here's something that's kind of neat right here. The K7 MEM site, you can go down, and he talks about very simple tuning that you can do. But I want you to look at this. He's got a calculator here, and it's an active calculator. You check the bands that you think you're going to operate. So I'm going to uncheck them all. Okay, so look at this. So right now, we don't know what band we're going to operate on. So hey, your wire can be any length here. Watch this. Let's put 80 meters in here. Oh, we got some red here for 80. Those are areas that we don't want to use. We don't want a piece of wire. Looks like anywhere from 66 feet down, probably. Let's put 40 meters in and see what happens. Now we're going to work 80, and we're also going to work 40. So I'm going to click both bands. Watch what happens. Okay, I didn't see much change. Let me unclick it. Okay, I didn't see much change at all. 80 and 40 look pretty good. Let's add 20 meters to it. I'm going to click on the 20 meters here. Oh, when I clicked on 20, you can see a little red spot showed up right here, right under 100 feet. Let's add 17 meters. Not much of a problem. One little frequency there. Let's add 15 meters. Well, we added 15 meters, and that actually puts some more no-nos in there where we don't want to be. 12 meters, and then here's 10 meters. Look at there. When we add 10 meters, it really, if you're wanting to work, 80 on up to 10, look at the places you should not be. So there are some. There's some.
Tom, I can tell you one situation where you might want to operate in those red zones. When I was in college, I didn't have room to put up a full dipole, so I had a random wire antenna out the window and a tuner. And my upstairs neighbor had this awful stereo that he'd leave on all night long, and all you'd hear downstairs was boom, boom, boom to boom.
Yeah.
You'd hear the bass tones all night long. So I would get on the radio right as he went to bed and detune my tuner, and I could get into his speaker wires and cause a horrendous noise and make him turn off his stereo. So it'd be very useful for that.
Oh yeah. That would be a time you'd want to use the red for sure, and don't hook a ground up. That would also be good too. Just if you really want to trash him. Hey, let's add 6 meters to this and see what happens when we add 6 meters to it. I don't know what's going to happen here, but oh man, look.
Yeah, if you get a spark off your microphone, then you're golden for that kind of stuff.
Boy, I tell you what, Charlie asked about 6 meters. Look at this. Right now, I've got all bands selected except 60 meters, and it's narrowing it down to places where we should not be. Now look at this. I'm going to add 6 meters to this, and look what happens. Here we go. I added 6 meters to that, and it's getting very critical. If you want to work all those bands and easily tune them, it's really limiting you now to very specific lengths of wire there that you can use for that. Let's take 6 meters off, and I'm going to click on I'm going to click on 60. I'm going to add 60 meters. Well, it didn't do much. 60 meters added just a little bit under the 90 foot area there. Let's see. Well, that's 80. Let's see, 60. 60 just right below the 90 feet there. You can see the change there. It's changing a little bit. I'm going to add 160 in. Oh, man. I added 160 in. It says there's nothing you can use there except, looks like about a 134 to 142 foot. So, guys, these are some interesting pages here if you'd like to read up about random length wire and what's the best length to use for random length with a tuner. I found it really interesting to do. I'll post those links here in the chat room. Let's see if I can do that right now. Here we go. Here's the links.
Those are links to avoid if you are going to be using a tuner. If you do want to build and to do a single band, end-fed half wave, and build yourself a 49 to 1 transformer, then you actually do want to use those half wavelength lengths, for kind of a monoband operation. And I found a pretty cool coupler, or 49 to 1 coupler balun, if you will, that I picked up. I haven't used it yet, but let me show you that real quickly. Or posting those links.
Okay.
Let me see if I could find. Let's see. I got to figure out what page to share here. Just give me a second here.
I built up several of the 49 to 1 and the 9 to 1 baluns here.
Yeah, this looks pretty cool. We call it a spark plug antenna, and it looks a bit like a spark plug, but basically it's a BNC connector on the one end,
Let's see.
tubing, and a thumb screw
let me
on
get
the
you
other.
there we go.
With a 49 to 1 toroid on it there. That you can use, very simply plug on the back of your rig, put your end-fed half wave on it, and you're good to go.
Yeah, cool. Here's one. Here's a homebrew balun. I'm not sure, Alan, if this is a 9 to 1 or a 49 to 1. You have to help me here with the turns. Let me look. Here's just a little simple one I built a while back.
Let's see. I can't tell what the primary. It does look like
It's got two. I think it's 2 turns primary with. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 11, 12, 13. Looks like 14 turns. Now, one of them you have to square, right?
Yeah, you square it. So that's a 49 to 1.
Yeah, okay, this is a 49 to 1 right here, and
because if it's 2 and 14, then it's a 7 to 1. You square that, it's 49 to 1.
Yeah. So, and in those cases, like Alan was saying, in those cases, you do want a specific, let's see, is it on the 49 to 1, do you want a half wave?
You want a half wave, yep.
All right, what about the 9 to 1 I think the 9 to 1 is your random length, isn't it?
Yeah, that's the one you don't want to use with a random length, because you're going to be closer to what that random impedance is going to be.
Right. Okay, so I posted those links. Let's see, why would it be okay to use those links for a monoband? But not with the tuner. Charlie's asking why it would be okay to use those links for a single band. Well,
usually the tuner is going to have trouble dealing with an impedance so high.
Yeah.
With the end-fed half wave, when it is a half wavelength, the feed point impedance of that end-fed is going to be very high, and
very high,
3,000 to 4,000 ohms. And that's typically going to be much higher than a tuner can typically tune to. When you get off of that half wavelength length, the impedance at the end-fed isn't going to be that high, and a tuner will generally work.
And an end-fed antenna it's really got some voltage on the end there, on the feed point. I guess on both ends, right?
Well, you got to figure if at the end of the day you're talking about how much power you're going to get into it, and if you're talking about a very high impedance. In order to get that power, you need a high voltage. It's low current and high voltage at the endpoints.
So, Alan, I was experimenting here with a end-fed. It was a half-wave end-fed, of course, vertical, with the balun at the didn't use a balun at the bottom at first. I built the matching stub using the 450 ohm open line. And there's a lot of articles on that. If you use a quarter wave of that and feed that, with your coax, and a quarter wave of 450 ohm line to a half wave vertical wire, you should have a really good match. And it really was a great match, and I came in and I cranked up about a kilowatt on it, and SWR was looking really good, man. And I'm thinking, this is really going to be a pretty neat antenna, you know. So I go back out there to check it, and my 450 ohm ladder line is on fire, and it's dripping balls of fire, you know, into my flower bed back there. So I thought, okay, I need something a little bit better. So I built me some, I don't know, open ladder line, you know, made me some insulators out of some PVC pipe and spaced them about, I don't know, 4 or 5 inches apart, and just ran me some number 12 wire, you know, down it, and made me some ladder line, put a quarter wave of that on there, and hey, it didn't catch on fire. It worked great. But you got a quarter wave of that sticking across the yard out there, and I didn't like the looks of that, so I took that down. And I ended up, on that particular one, I got a great big M&M's jug about this big, and I put a fixed capacitor and an inductor in there, found the right values to match it, so it makes it a single band antenna, but it seems to hold the power really well. So that was,
Alan, can you share the link on that end-fed half wave that you popped up earlier?
On the spark plug transformer?
Yeah, in the chat. Can you share that in the chat room?
Yep, there you go.
There you go. And that's not a real spark plug, is it?
No, it looks like one, but it's basically a piece of PVC.
Okay.
And then the thumb screw at one end.
You know, over the years, I've seen lightning protection devices that hams have built, and there's been write-ups, and I've seen people use spark plugs for a lightning arrestor. They mount that in a piece of metal and put that spark plug in there, hook the antenna to the top of that, and I guess that's a pretty good lightning arrestor.
Sure. And you can adjust the gap on it.
Adjust the gap. You know, you only 40 thousandths or 25 right. Or, you know, I'm just not sure how. I wonder if you could run a kilowatt on 30 thousandths spacing. I don't know. That seems awful narrow.
But it depends on what feed point impedance. If you're on 50 ohm line, probably could. If you're on 450 ohm line, probably not.
Well,
to figure out how much voltage you're going to have.
It's going to be real high voltage, that's for sure.
Yeah. Well, the voltage is going to depend on the line impedance. So.
Yeah. You know, I've got out there, and I was just looking at it. I'm going to be doing some antenna work here pretty soon. I'm putting me up another Delta loop. You know, Alan, I have a Delta loop out there that performed really well, and I get my balance now through Ballon Design. He makes the best balance in the world. They're rated at 3,000 watts. He said, if you ever have a problem, if you ever burn one up, send it back to me. I'll get you another one. But that's not going to happen. But all the write-ups that I've seen over the years on a Delta loop, they talk about using a 4-to-1 Ballon. Now, a Delta loop's about 100 ohms, so that's a little bit of a mismatch, you know. To me, that's more of a 2-to-1 type deal. I ordered a 2-to-1 Ballon from him last month, and I put it on out there, and guess what? The SWR was so much higher with the 2-to-1 on, which I thought was going to be almost a perfect match to that antenna. So I'm going to have to dig into that and see what's going on there. Probably could adjust it down by changing the length of it. And I'm going to put me some different wire up. The wire I've used all these years on my Delta loop is military field wire, which I had spools of it that Uncle Sam gave me. And that wire, if you know what field wire is, it's a black twin, like a zip line, two conductor, two sides, and each side has it has, I think, 4 copper in it. I think it's got 3 steel in it, so it's very strong. It's very strong. You could pull a car with it. but it's relatively small. Plus, it's got the steel in here, so I'm not sure how efficient it's been, but it's always been a great performing antenna for me. But I got this new Balun, and hey, I've got me some number. I found me some junk number 10 wire out there stranded, and I already cut it the length to get started. So I'm just gonna put me up another one. I've already shot me a line over a couple tree limbs that are about 70 feet probably in the air. So I should be able to pull it up really good. So I hope to get that back on soon. But I really like the Delta Loop. I got to get it back on. And it's starting to get cool here. The past couple months, and Glenn, I don't know how it was in Mississippi, but last couple months you just didn't work outside on antennas here.
No, you didn't go outside unless you absolutely had to. It's just been brutal.
Yeah. Okay.
But this morning was nice.
Yeah, it's been nice the past couple weeks, and that's why I was able to go outside and shoot a line over 70 or 80 foot tree limbs up here. And I had one difficult one up here, but hey, it took me 3 shots with a slingshot, and I put it right in there, man. So I think over the next few days I'll get back out and pull my rope over it and get ready to pull my wire up, and I'm gonna try the 2-to-1 Balun and see if I can't get this thing going again. And let's see what else is going on. Well, that's kind of our discussion I wanted to have on antennas tonight. Guys, please check those links out and read about it. You'll be interested, I think, in quite a bit of that.
Yeah, I got to get up on my roof. The 40-meter leg on my MFJ spider web is cobweb is gotten torn by the pine tree dropping logs.
So how do you like the cobweb? Does it work good for you?
I love it. As
Yeah,
long as I can keep the wire on it, but the only place I had my house for it is right underneath my neighbor's pine trees. And
Well, a couple years ago, I home brewed a cobweb here, and we built the matching device. It's a 12.5 ohm to 50 ohm. It's not a it's backwards from what you would think. It's 12.5 on it's 12.5 on the balanced side and 50 on the unbalanced side. But there was a good article on how to build that Balun, and I built it. It looked really good. Put that thing together and played with it a little bit out there. But I've got so many antennas up, I eventually took that cobweb, put it behind my storage building out there, and I met a ham out here in the neighborhood that came to some type sale. It was a estate sale or something, and I asked him if he wanted a cobweb, and he managed to get that thing on top of his car, and he took it out of here.
yeah, I am flat out of real estate on the roof of my house. I have no room for any more antennas.
Yeah. Hey, let me ask anybody in the chat room, if you're listening out there, wake up. How does everybody like the chat room? We've gone back to our IRC chat room. I know it's not as easy as the YouTube, but I finally figured out you can't please everybody, and the YouTube did have some issues that just were not going to work real well for us. So just wonder how you guys like the IRC chat room that we're using now. And I'd love to hear from you. Also, any new people in there, anybody join us tonight that is new with us, we'd love to hear from you. Let us know who you are
I like
and where
it
you
better
are.
than YouTube as well.
Yeah. Okay, well, that's good. That's good.
Tom, I'm going to
Yeah.
have to jump. I got
Okay.
that
All right.
message.
I know it's late there, and I know you've got a dog there that you have to take care of too. He's probably
Got
ready
their
to
legs
go.
crossed out the back door again, so I got to
Probably
go.
ready to go. All right. Well, hey, Alan, thanks, man, for being with us tonight.
That's good to see everybody. We'll see you all next week.
We'll see you next week. All right.
All
Good
right.
night.
Take care.
All right. Let's see. Let me get something here. Not sure what I was going to show you. All right. Well, Glenn, you got any new projects you're working on now? I mean, you're actually having to go into the office some. You have time to work on things?
Well, yeah, because of the COVID protocols that the city government is doing right now, I only go in 2 days a week, and I work from home the other 3 days. And while I'm busy all day working from home, I don't have that drive time, across town. So I get that extra 2 hours each day to play. And like I say, I finally actually cleared the lab off. It's been, probably a year and a half since I've been able to actually use anything over there. And I've got the desktops pretty much cleaned and organized. And I'm finally able to start getting into things. The Heathkit tube tester is next up on the table, and a couple of the other things I bought from Huntsville. And then I'm going to be starting on a couple more Arduino projects that I've been wanting to work on for several years.
All right. Well, great. I see my son's in the chat room tonight. He's watching the show. He's starting to watch the show more often.
Hey, Tom, can you
yeah.
allow me to share the screen for a minute?
I can. Go right ahead.
Let's see if I can get to this. There we go. Sure. All right. Make that full screen. Can you see that?
No. Yeah, now I can. What am I looking at?
Don't let that happen to your balloon on a cobweb at the Hamfest.
Oh, I see it. I was wondering, was that a UFO or what was that out there? Well,
Yeah, that was the
cobweb
Hex there. Hey,
if you guys remember, 2-3 years ago, when we had astronaut Doug Wheelock with us, and he launched, in Bill's balloon race out there, we launched a balloon, and he crashed it, I think, twice. Once it wrapped around a power line just like that, but it came loose and it cleared itself. That surprised me, actually. I thought we were done.
Well, this was the year before that.
Yeah.
And I let it go. It went right over the building, and we ran around to make sure it was going to clear the trees, and it went bam right into the W8BI Dayton Hamvention hex beam, just like a spider web.
Yeah.
And you can see the balloon plastered there in that little sky tractor. So don't let that happen to yours.
Oh man, yeah, we're gonna have to watch this. I'm afraid the wind is gonna be blowing. It could be raining. I don't know, but we're hoping to launch, Bill, and we're gonna take a little tank of helium with us. We're not gonna go hydrogen. We normally have always flown hydrogen, but we're gonna use helium. So, Bill, with this balloon here, this Mylar balloon in helium, what are we looking at here? Maybe 24,000, or think it'd go any higher?
Well, it depends on the kind of helium. If you're using helium from a welding shop,
No, this is the cheapy. This is the cheapy.
Regulator,
This is the cheapy stuff.
oh, then you'll be about 22,000 feet. You'll be about 3,000 or 4,000 feet low.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
it won't survive the weather too long at that altitude. But it's easy to transport. That's only 80% helium out of those Walmart
Well,
cans.
I could take a small tank of hydrogen with me, and we could probably hit what, maybe 28.
I'd buy a small tank. By the way, this balloon finally fell off their hex beam after they rotated it and lowered the tower a little bit and shook it around.
Yeah.
and it ended up in Turkey 10 days later, and it was pretty well abused. But I'll show you what I use.
Yeah.
Right here. That is a 20 cubic foot. That's a 40 cubic foot tank of helium.
I'm not seeing it.
A welding supply shop can get that, and they actually have a 20 cubic foot version that you can get that might be even cheaper. That cost me just slightly more than that Walmart can that cost $29. This cost me $38. And get a balloon filler regulator with it, and then that adapter, that little plastic black adapter I sent you, fits over the rubber end of one of those balloon filler nozzles.
Oh, okay. Okay.
I was going to 3D print them, but somebody on eBay had already figured out to do that.
Oh, okay. Well,
So that rubber hose I sent you, there's a little black adapter.
Yeah, I saw that. I was wondering. I was wondering what that was for exactly.
That fits over the end of one of those rubber balloon fillers.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. All right.
And so there you go. And use that white plastic tube because it won't get stuck in the Mylar balloons.
Yeah. Yep. We'll do that.
But this is what it should look like. When you let it go.
Oh, let me get you on there. Let me get it on there. There we go.
Not wrapped around a tower or anything.
Not wrapped around a tower or a tree.
All right, let me see. Let me see something here. Let me look. I got one more thing I need to pull up here.
I'll stop in here.
I've got to. I had something.
Are you going to open up the Zoom to everyone tonight?
We'll try that in just a moment. Let me see. I got one more thing here. Maybe. Well. Bill, WZ1L, I do not have the file where I can get to it easily. I think you texted it to me. I don't have a way to get the text off and on the show. So if you could send it to me, send me your picture at my Gmail account. I can probably put that on the show real quick. Bill, so send it to me at my Gmail account. Tom at w5kub.com. All right, so Bill, can you post the link? Do you have the link there you can post easily? I might be able to. Let's see. We might have lost Bill. Let's see.
I was.
So, Glenn, do you?
Let me copy the link over here.
If you could copy it into the chat room, that would be great.
The chat room doesn't work as well for me because how do you pop out the chat room?
Well,
it's easy. It's easier for me to pop it out.
I don't have it set for popping out. Although I can give you a URL and you can open it full tab in a new tab, and you can grab that tab and move it and resize it.
Well, that'd be good.
Yeah, just type in if you want to type in web dot how do you say it? Libera?
Libera.chat.
Yeah, web.libera.chat / pound W5KUB. If you'll do that, it'll open.
When does it after chat?
After .chat and then / pound W5KUB.
Oh, okay, I'll try that.
And
that'll be handy. You might want to post that.
Yeah, I need to get that out there. So did it open up for you?
I'm doing that right now. Slow internet tonight.
Yeah. Let's see.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
That's very useful.
all right, and then if you grab that tab, I think you could pull it away from your browser, and it'll make it a separate. It'll make it a separate window.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what I did.
And then you can actually grab it and resize it and move it around. But if you type on the other thing though, it'll go in the background. But hopefully that helps you. So guys, we're gonna post a link for Zoom if you'd like to join us on our Zoom call here. We'd love to have you join us in the show. Bill's going to be posting that link right now. And in the meantime, if you're out there listening, this show is about ham radio, amateur radio. It's called Amateur Radio Roundtable, and we meet every Tuesday night at 9 p.m. Eastern Time at w5kub.com. So if you've got internet out there, join us on Tuesday night. And if you're just listening on shortwave, we'd love to hear from you. Send me an email to tom@w5kub.com. Bill, I don't see a link yet. Did you send a link?
Working on it.
Okay.
Many windows up.
It's like me. I'm like,
Find
good
that
luck
chat
on me
room.
finding that link.
I say that's the problem. I don't have the chat room up at the same time as the Zoom and right now I got it covered up. So hold on. That's the clunkiest part because I usually just pop it out and put it next to the Zoom.
That's what I did.
Right now, it's clunky.
Yeah. I used to could do a pop out. You can't do a pop out to a new window anymore. Nobody will let you. The industry will not let you do it. And even if you put the code in here, even if you put the HTML code in to open in a new window, it will open it in a new tab. They're intentionally doing that. But that might not be bad. I can put the code here to open it in a new tab, and then you can just grab that tab and pull it down. All right, Bill just posted the link, the Zoom link. If you'd like to join us, please click on that link, and we'll bring you right into the show. Let's see if we get any takers. We got about 20 minutes before the show ends tonight. Yeah, we've got Charlie's in there. I thought Charlie left a while ago. All right. Hello, Charlie. Charlie, I saw a while ago you said bye, like you were leaving us. I don't understand that. Why did you say bye?
Because I left
Well,
and I'm back.
you're back, huh? Okay. All right. All right.
Hello.
Hey. Who just joined us? That was, I forget who that was. Let's see who that was. That was KU7KK, Bill. He just joined us. All right. Well, I'm really looking forward to moving to this other web broadcast system. I really looking forward to that. It's going to help me when I travel and go places. I can still do the show, and man, it's simple, but I think it's going to be good. And you guys
what's
looking
the
at
name
it.
of the platform, Tom?
Well, it's a web-based platform. It's one Mellon has put out. It's very similar. It looks almost exactly as StreamYard. In fact, StreamYard and Mellon are actually written by the same developers. And if you do a comparison of the two, there's almost no difference. There's like 1% difference. So it's web-based. Everything is on the cloud. It's not running here on the computer. So that's a good deal too. I've just got to be able to interface a couple things into it. It's going to be a little challenging to bring Zoom in. I can do the Zoom where I think I can do a share screen on the Zoom application, and have Zoom set where when someone talks, they go full screen. So I think it'll work for us. I've got to figure out though this virtual cable thing, and that's not an easy thing for me. That's for sure. All right.
And wouldn't it be easy to use only the app, the Liberia thing, and do not use Zoom?
Well, yes, but I'm limited to the number. For instance, we have maybe 4 to 5 co-hosts. My app will allow me to bring 5 people in. Oh no, 6 people.
Yeah, I remember. Yes. Okay.
6 people, which is not bad. It just means that at the last half of the show, I can't open it up and have 10 more people join us. That's the only, and that's not a real big issue actually. I really want to get the phone line working, where if 100 people want to call in, on the phone line, it will, audio will go both ways. Into the phone system, into the app, out of the app, into the phone system, and I've got it going both ways now with virtual cable. It's just that I lost my microphone now on my laptop when I set the virtual cables up. So there's got to be a way to get the mic to work at the same time the virtual connections are working. So I'm learning.
Okay.
So we could have a show without Zoom. It's kind of like a mini Zoom, really. I could bring 6 people in, And the nice thing about this app was, it works kind of like Zoom. I can have a 6-person meeting and not be streaming to YouTube. Or if I hit go live, it'll connect to YouTube and we're on. I can also tell it to go to Facebook and Twitch and Twitter, all those, and it'll go to all those at the same time. So
I just did a remote talk to to a club in Chattanooga the other night, and I used a Whereby for that. And it's kind of like Zoom, only it was pretty easy to use.
Yeah.
And very easy to share screens.
What was it called?
Whereby. WHEREBY.
Yeah, a lot of people are coming up with these things now, and they're all very similar. The web-based ones are very similar. And you got the option. You can share a video, or you can share a screen. I can put logos on there. I can move them around. I can put banners on there. So, it gives me the very basics I need. Plus the switching and the look that you see. It just looks outstanding. The way it positions everybody. All right. We've got Tim out there, WB8HRO. And Tim, I get your email every month, and I enjoy reading the news that you send me every month, Tim. All right, who else we got in here? KE7KK, Bill's in there. Anybody else want to join us tonight? The link is in the chat room. What are you drinking there? What do you got there, Charlie?
A Cuba Libre without the Coke.
We have a strict thing on this show. This is I don't know if we allow that or not.
This is tea.
Oh, tea. We'll allow tea. We'll allow tea. Yeah.
South American tea.
Yeah.
We'll allow that.
At least
that
it
comes
isn't,
from Scotland, right?
Yeah.
At least it isn't Inca Cola. I had Inca Cola when I was in Peru. It tastes like bubblegum. Bubblegum soda.
That's an interesting thing. I had, over all the years I managed this the international telecommunications for FedEx. I had employees around the world. One of my I had a manager I put in Europe, and I would bring him here occasionally. And you know, in Europe, they're big drinkers. They like to have their beer and lunch and, you know, all the time. Anyway, he was here for the weekend, and I think he drove over into Arkansas. I think he got in a dry county or something. Maybe it was Sunday, but you couldn't buy any beer. And he bought something called root beer. He bought some root beer and tried it, and he spit it out. He said it tasted like liquid chewing gum. Oh, man. All right. We don't have any other takers. Nobody else wants to join us. I tell you, it's getting cool enough now that I can get out and do a little antenna work. Man, it has been hot here.
Yeah.
Oh, man. And I do want to get my antennas back in shape. I've got a fan dipole out there. I've got, I think, the 20 meter. One of the legs is hanging straight down, and it just needs some work done on it. And I need to get all my antennas going before winter. Make sure they stay up here.
Well, that's part of it. Is I plan to get on the air a lot more, and with that 40 meter leg down, that's what I use for FT8.
Yeah.
So my 40 meter FT8's down. Can't have that.
Well, we need to make some contacts. See what kind of distance we can get. Maybe put a light bulb in your window for an antenna, and load that up on FT8. Let's see how far you can talk on FT8. There's people running light bulbs in the window, and they're talking 1,000 miles on FT8.
Oh yeah, I mean,
yeah.
Most people just use 10 watts and they can work the world. So, you can do pretty much anything with FT8.
Oh yeah, yeah. I see Tim mentioned, sorry, he says Katie is still his favorite. Okay, well, Katie is everybody's favorite. I'm sorry she's not here tonight, but hey, not a whole lot I can do. I've already tripled her salary this year, and we always tell her how much she's appreciated, and if she needs to be out, we don't count time, days away. Who is it? Mark is in here. Let's see. So yeah, but Katie, I think Katie likes the show. Katie enjoys being with us, and she's very popular. I think Katie is the queen of ham radio, and I am just so glad that our show has the queen of ham radio. And if you watch the opening of our show, this is the best show, ham radio show, and it's also the best on the planet. And if you don't know what that means, you need to go to our shortwave station, WBCQ. It's called The Planet. So we're the best on the planet. So we got a lot going for us, and we got the queen.
Katie might want to be referred to as the princess of ham radio.
Well, what's more important, a princess or a queen? I don't know. She might.
The Empress.
I try.
Empress, there you go. Yeah, that
Empress.
Would be more
the Empress might. Yeah, the Empress might do it. Let's see. I mean, we really appreciate her. Let's see. I've got right here. I mean, we're thinking about putting her own show on. I mean, maybe after hours it's going to be called the Katie Allen Show.
But it's just that time of year, they're super busy right now.
Well, she's really tired tonight. They've been fighting COVID out there where she is. Her job interfaces somehow to COVID there with the state, and I think she's had a tough day today. So
yeah,
we'll give her an excuse absence today. Let's see.
Like I say, in Memphis, they're talking about cutting us down to 1 day a week in the office. About half of the staff is 1 day a week now, but because I'm new, they're making me do 2 days a week.
Yeah.
they need me to get the reports done that I'm working on, and if I work on them from home, they don't get done as fast.
Oh. Well,
Something about having to move a cat off the keyboard every few seconds.
I wouldn't tell them that. I wouldn't tell them that. All right. Well, you know, Bill.
They actually did a study at my work that showed that telecommuting, we were actually more efficient. Because when you're on site on a job, you're visiting people in their cubicles, or going to the break room, or
Exactly.
going down to the cafeteria and talking about things not about work. And plus, you've got an extra hour or two of free time from not commuting. So I love working at home.
Well,
today was my day in the office.
Work at home now. Look, hey, you get on email for about an hour. You answer if you think. You go outside. You cut the yard. You know, you rake it up. You edge, and you come back in about 3 o'clock.
I gotta be working.
Come back in at 3 o'clock. Do your email again, and you put a whole day in, man.
Yeah, it'd be nice if I could do that, but it don't work that way. But
Yes,
I went in today, and I lost a whole hour because the boss wanted to come and talk to me
Oh man.
about a meeting he wanted to have next week. So basically, held next week's meeting today so that he knew what I was going to talk about next week.
Well, I let for
I had an
years.
all-day meeting today. All day.
For years, for the last 5 years I worked, I let my people work at home at least 2 days a week. And I didn't have any problem with that. Let's see. I didn't have any problem at all. I worked at home maybe 3 days a week. And but I managed a worldwide international telecom group. And, you know, at 6 o'clock my time at night, I had all my staff in Hong Kong and Japan coming to work. So my work basically was 24 hours a day. So I didn't really, I didn't care if I took an hour off during the day to run an errand or something, because I basically worked day and night, you know.
Yeah, and that's the way I work it is if I do anything during the day, I just make it up by working in the evening.
Yes, it's by tasks and not by
Exactly.
hours. But they here in Uruguay they just approve a new legislation for telecommuting, or so that you know how to deal with for both sides, the employer and the employee, for the 8-hour work day, how that can be regulated via on telecommuting, right? So I think that's important, because what the COVID brought here, well, everywhere in the world, is that they found that telecommuting, it's sometimes it's better.
Yeah.
But you have to have that sort of legislation that protects both sides of the equation.
Yeah.
And it also includes the provisioning of that you have to get into an arrangement with your employer about providing the resources required, like the connection to the internet and the computer if necessary. So it's not like saying to your employee, just go connect and be connected by 8 o'clock. It's just giving him the resources required. So that all of that is included in the legislation. So I think that's a good step forward.
Now, I talked to several businesses, both small and large. The utility costs have gone way down for the building maintenance because everybody's telecommuting. That's a huge saving. And this one small company was supplying all kinds of free snacks and free coffee and stuff to their employees. They had about, I guess, 80 employees. And they found that they're saving a pile of money from not having those free snacks out as part of their employee perks.
Well, we used to have a popcorn machine, man. I used to make a lot of popcorn.
Yeah.
You know. Yeah.
The coffee machine is it's a delicate balance there, because they pay for the coffee, but they know that they're giving you some extra energy for your work.
Maybe they're doing it to keep you awake. I don't know.
Yeah, exactly.
They've shut all that down. I mean, we've got a lunch area, and that's pretty much about it.
I want to know what Charlie means. The employer is responsible for providing internet for their employees. No, the employees are responsible for getting their own internet for attending the Zoom meetings and whatever. I mean,
Bill,
you can't force it. You cannot force an employer to provide you with internet.
Well, I'm gonna tell you, Bill.
What I understand that the law says is that you have to get into an arrangement before going into the telecommuting structure. You have to go into an arrangement with your employer, between employer and employee, so that in a personal arrangement between them, they decide how these resources are provided. So it's an arrangement.
I know at
particular for each.
Hey, at FedEx.
By the way, this is my office right here.
Yeah.
That is my office. Yeah. And they, of course, they have a card that you stick in there to activate it, to make it secure, so no one else can.
Everybody's got those elite books, because that's
Well,
what
we
I
paid.
I love it, actually.
Our company
But
paid.
the thing of it is, we're on our own for the internet, they don't supply the internet, but they give us a laptop to take home. So,
Yeah.
But our company, FedEx, we gave everybody internet, and the company paid for it.
Yeah. Now you also have to remember, Bill, as far as companies not buying internet, he's in Uruguay. They run a little bit different laws down there. They could force them to provide internet if that's part of the deal.
Yep.
Yeah, but it's an arrangement between both parties. So I think it's good enough, and it's better than nothing, because in nothing you say, okay, I will telecommute, and then on both sides you have like the employer always pretending for you to be online, and on the other side the employee trying to get away from the computer at the right moment.
Charlie, if you can guarantee that Uruguay can supply me with gigabit internet, I'm going to move there, because I can work from Uruguay. Yeah, I can work from the North Pole.
Gigabit.
If you got gigabit, I'm all for it, because I'm out in the country.
Hey, listen, Bill.
You can't even get dial-up.
I have a fiber optics in my house, and all houses not in Uruguay, but in populated areas in Uruguay, all houses have a fiber optic for years.
Oh, I'm there. I've
got a whopping 25 megabits. Okay, I mean,
I only have
1.2 download speed megabits.
I only have 450 down and 23 up.
Yeah, let me check what I have at the time. Let me see. But I'm paying the cheapest flat rate. You have cheaper, but they are not flat. Let me see this.
I tell you something. If a person can get 90 megs down and 90 up, he don't need anything any faster than that.
Yeah, exactly. You don't need
anything.
Hey, Tom.
Actually,
Tom, I've got 90K up and not a 90K
Yeah,
down.
I know. Yeah.
Not meg.
Yeah.
Actually, my 25 down and 5 up covers me for 90%.
Yep. Well, and over North Carolina, when we do the show in 2 weeks, guys, I'm going to be on DSL in the mountains. We're going to have about 7 megs down and 768 up,
I'm planning to get on Starlink soon, and I hear that's pretty good speed and low latency. So
they're a little,
I have 60 down and 10 up here right now.
That's
but
okay.
It's the cheapest flat rate we can have here in
and guess what? And it works fine, doesn't it?
And cheapest, I'm talking about It's about, I'll tell you right now.
You know, 60 is good. Hey, you don't need anything more. I remember when we had 56 kilobit.
Oh God,
Less-
I remember
less-
that.
Less than $30.
And to have 60, that's like being in heaven right now, man.
I
Yeah,
remember when
yeah.
we went from 300 baud to
Yeah.
1200
Oh,
baud.
yeah.
Thought we'd
Oh, I
died
remember
above
that
the
too.
Yep. All right, guys, it's 10 o'clock. I need to tell everybody
Oh.
out there listening on shortwave, thank you for listening tonight. This is Amateur Radio Roundtable. We're on WBCQ 7490. Let us hear from you. Send an email to tom@w5kub.com. We'll see you next week.
Hey Tom, you did you get that picture?
Let me look. Where did you send it to?
Tom@w5kub.com, which you said to.
Yeah, I don't see it. It's not. Let me look
The
again. Hang on.
spam
Let me
box.
refresh. Yeah, there it is. There it is.
Okay.
Okay.
I was just curious if you
Yeah.
got it. That's all.
Yeah, there we go. Okay, I've got it. Let me put it up on the thing here, and we'll just show it on the show here. There we go. All right.
Oh, yeah, that's the Tech in a Day class.
Yeah.
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 We had 12 students, and 8 out of 12 passed their technician class license.
Excellent.
Well, that's good. Very good.
Yeah, I thought it was better than what I expected, because half the class left at 1 o'clock and said that they'd be back at 4. They wanted to go out into the lobby and chat while they were studying.
Haha.
Trying to reach it.
They're going to work from home.
Yeah, really.
Actually, with my job, they don't care what hours I work. They're just like, just give us 8 hours a day. We don't care. Pick the hours.
No.
And I normally pick the hours when the demons are asleep.
I'm normally on Zoom at least 18 hours a week for remote testing on Zoom. So I mean, we're having fun, and there's a lot of people passing their examinations and upgrading.
All right. So we've
Excellent.
got.
That's excellent.
Yeah, we've got Tim WB8HRO, a good friend here. Tim is in a nursing home up north, and he is really having a good time being in ham radio. Tim has the blessing of all the staff there at the nursing home, and even the maintenance people put his HF antennas up for him.
Wow.
And he operates from a nursing home there. He said they're in a nursing home. They give him 10 gigs up and 60 down.
Darn.
Yeah.
Nice.
Wow. All right, guys, we need to end the show. It's been a couple hours now. I'm going to go ahead and terminate the show here.
Yeah, it's popcorn time.
It is popcorn time. So good night to everybody out there on watching the show. If
Oh,
you
the
hadn't-
cat. There's a cat.
What was that?
There's a cat.
Yeah, there's Mark's
the cat?
cat.
Mark.
Mine have bailed on me.
Thanks for watching. Hit that subscribe button. If you hadn't hit the subscribe button, please do. And we'll see you next week. Good night, everybody.
Night, y'all.
Good night, y'all.
And you know what?
No.
Let's just put Glenn on here to close the show here. Here's Glenn.
So you're saying I can ask this cat any
I'm
question?
going to do
The
that.
cat is connected to the computer. You just type
Yeah.
in the question.
I'm going to do that with Rody, and I'm meant to do it tonight.
There's the
But I need to
answer
make sure I got
code.
enough of my blood type on hand first.
Put the cat to close the show.
You're the man.
That's,
been looking
that's
for this
just the
for
commercial
weeks.
he got that looks just like me.
All right. All right.